The Tom London Show is brought to you by Suzuki Rivonia, the home of happy customers.
The Tom London Show.
Now go, baby. Let's go. Stan Katz is our special guest today. I feel good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to you. Welcome to the show. If you're watching live, it is 3 p.m. in the City of Gold. The G20 summit is happening, and I just heard a jet. You know, Stan, everyone's... have you seen all the posts on Facebook? People are right. I Love Four Ways, Melanie Walker, everyone's like, oh, a Gripen just flew overhead. It's so exciting. And I haven't heard any Gripens. They don't fly over Velterfred and Bark, it seems, at least for 2 days.
I haven't heard any jets.
Well, about 10 minutes ago, I heard one coming. I thought
we've only got one jet.
Well, it's though they keep flying. They're flying it around in circles.
To make it seem like we've got an airport.
Fly it and then do a circle and come back again 1 minute later and say, hey, 5 jets. No, it's the same jet, man. About 10 minutes ago, I'm busy setting everything up, and I hear... You know, I couldn't get outside, which is only 5 meters away, faster than the thing came over.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I've heard the Gripen jet, but I haven't seen the Gripen jet. Have you? Has it been flying over your neck of the woods? Cape Town, sadly, you miss out. Eh? No Gripens in Cape Town today. And according to the head of the Navy, there are probably no boats either. Ships. Boats. Yeah, but Joburg, we got the weather and we've got the fighter jets, baby. They attack us in Joburg. We send that singular Gripen after them and send some kind of... Stan, what do you... Is that how you drink water?
My doctor said I need to drink more water.
How many liters?
5 liters.
But hold on. How many? How long does it take you to flatten 5 liters?
About 3 days.
Oh, okay. I thought you were doing 5 liters a day. That would be...
No, that would be tantamount to drowning.
Yeah, you'd be peeing every 5 minutes. You'd be spending your life in the loo. We'll get to the comments in just a moment, see what you've got to say. And then I thought, seeing that we've got Stan on and he's been coming back to us and spending time with us, why don't we dig into his brain? Because of all the people I've met in this world, there's nobody that knows branding and marketing and sales better than Stan Katz, in my opinion. I mean, I constantly draw on the experience of Stan. And I thought, well, why don't we do the same for you today? Perhaps you've got a business or you want to start one or you're busy growing one and you've never thought of it as a brand, or perhaps you're wondering how to sell, or perhaps you're wondering what marketing is or how to perfect it or be better at it. I thought, well, Stan Katz is the man, and seeing as we got him on, why don't we scratch his brain today? So any marketing, sales or branding questions you got, pop them in the comments section. Of course, we'll dip back to the 702 days as one of the examples of brand building and marketing and sales. Sure to be an interesting discussion. Shall we see who's on board? Let's take a look. Heather Knickelbein says, good afternoon, Dysfunctionals. Alistair James says, good afternoon, Mr. Katz and Mr. London. Saw the Gripen from our window at work, says Uniguida. Check the serial number on the fuselage. Yes. But it flies so fast. It's like...
Does it tell you, does the number on the fuselage tell you how many jets there are?
It's like...
This is number...
It's scratched out. It used to say 10, and then they've scratched it out. They've put some Tipex there. Scratched off the 0. Good afternoon, Dysfunctional, says Anita. Uniguida says, ach ja, near, our lone Gripen will defend us. Do you remember when we used to go to the business chamber at Four Ways every Friday?
No. Who's we?
You and I. What do you mean you don't remember? The business, Four Ways business chamber.
No, not me.
Yes, man. Trevor, Nell and the boys there in Four Ways at the Hotel of William Nicol.
I might have been there once. If at all. Because I don't remember.
Oh, I think it was one visit you made. Yes. Yes, yeah, I think you were there once. You're right. Yeah, you're right. You were there once. Oh, I was going to throw a name at you, Viv Brown. and his daughter was a Gripen pilot. That's why the name came
really?
out. Yeah, so it could be a lady flying that jet.
Oh,
Because we do have a female Gripen pilot in the Air Force.
We do.
What else we got? Rosie Brown says hello. Margaret Guider, the other half of the Guider counters, says hello. Patsy says, I saw 3 jets flying together over Centurion last week. Yes, but we've also got the little Hawk trainer jets. Now, they're useless in a war. I mean, you can send them to say, hello, the Gripens are coming, but they really just train. It could be I don't know, was it the Gripens or the Hawks? I think people would call
Good question. Tom, you are a bit of a fanatic when it comes to
I love airplanes.
Aircraft. You're a big fan of aircraft, aren't you?
Not a day that goes by that I don't read something about airplanes, airplane crashes, eVTOLs, which is the future. I'm a huge fan.
You know who else is a big, huge fan is Des Latham, who was with us at 702. Was he there when you were there?
No, he'd gone by the time
but you
I
know
got
who
there.
he is.
Also,
Okay.
yeah, I'm an aviation nut. If a plane...
What is it that excites you about aviation and things aviation?
Sure. I'm not sure. I mean, perhaps because I grew up in a family where my dad flew privately, my uncles flew privately, my grandfather flew. My family had not my little family, but my extended family had some airplanes, and I'd often find myself in the back of a Cessna 182 or a Beechcraft Baron or a Piper Arrow Turbo, Piper Turbo Arrow to be absolutely correct. And then I think I'm just one of those kids that when you went to the airports, I was the one that stood with my nose pressed against the glass, watching everything and dreaming of it. Yeah. I when I was on radio, I always used to say if I wasn't on the air, I'd be in the air. That would be my second choice. And then I flew gliders for a while, and I flew motor gliders for a while, and I flew for a few years. Yeah.
Flying a glider would excite me. That I think is a whole new trip.
Yeah, I've flown in and had the controls of a number of airplanes. Microlights are really cool. It's like getting on a motorbike and zipping through the sky. Those are fun, but after a while it can get a bit boring because you just hang on the bars and off you go. And then gliders are very exciting. Gliders are like sticking your arms out and going flying.
Yeah.
It feels like that.
And is it silent, or do you hear the wind rushing?
Well, you don't have the engine noise, so you can talk to if it's a 2-seater glider, you can talk to the person in front of you or behind you, and you don't have to wear headsets. You just have a little speaker there for the radio. It's relatively quiet, except you're doing about 120 k's an hour, and there's a lot of air rushing over the canopy, so there's quite a bit of wind noise in a glider. Yeah. So yeah, I'm a nut. I'm a nut for these things.
We used to use private jets at 702 and Prime Media all the time.
That's the best. I had to go to
Mabato or Botswana, which is where we were licensed, I would just take the jet. That way I wouldn't have to spend any time in Mafeking, my old hometown. I'd fly in, go to a meeting, jump on the plane, and fly out again.
What's better?
And of course, we had our own helicopter, as you know.
And a limo.
And a limo. And I learned to fly the helicopter.
You're joking. You can fly a helicopter?
I can.
Are you serious?
I haven't done that in a long time. The last time I flew a helicopter, I had my instructor with me. We flew over the Magaliesberg. I'd gone there to an event where I
can feel a story coming on.
We flew back. I'd had a 6-pack of beer. And we flew over Magaliesberg with me 3 sheets to the wind. And I thought, this cannot be. You cannot be drinking and flying. So I gave up flying.
And all right. Well, you only had to sacrifice one thing then. Oh, wow. I didn't know that you could fly a helicopter. That's impressive. They're very hard to fly.
Oh, very hard to fly. It's
Yeah.
like patting your head and rubbing your tummy and walking at the same
Crazy.
time. And chewing gum to make it even more complicated.
Crazy. I took the controls of a little Robinson R22 once, and
That's what I learned on.
we're hovering above a soccer pitch just outside Soweto, and I was just seeing sky, grass as I looked out the window. I thought, well, this'll be the day that I die. Jeez. Okay, what else we got here? No Grippins in Primrose today. Other Grippins aren't flying over Germiston. G20 is in the city.
I really am, Tom, I really am confused because last time I read anything about our armed forces, planes didn't feature. I think that we had about 2 planes.
Oh, we got more than that.
Seriously.
I did
Or only 2, maybe 2 that were working at the time.
Yeah, that could be possible. And the reporting on it is crazy. I was interested in what assets the Army, the Defense Force had, and the Air Force had won about 6 months ago. I was looking. The Army has got thousands of cars and buckies and trucks and things and tanks. They've got thousands. We got huge amounts of that, and we got thousands in storage. So we could always send tanks somewhere. But on the airplane side, we're a bit thin. But we might be the biggest air force in South Africa. I'm not sure. I mean, in Africa, we certainly have the biggest air force out of the SADC countries, I think. So our borders are they're porous but secure. If that's an oxymoron, but if that makes any sense.
Porous but secure.
I don't know how many Grippins we bought. I can't remember, about 10 of them or something. And the thing with airplanes is some are out of service. Every plane has to be checked every year, and then monthly checks of this, that, whatever. So it's not unusual for planes to be out of service. I always laugh when the media go, "Oh, the presidential jet is in for repairs again." Like, the presidential jet is a 737-800, I think, exactly the same as the plane you fly on FlySafair. Now, those planes on FlySafair, they've done 30,000 hours and 30,000 landings, and the presidential jet doesn't work nearly as hard. And there's always this, we need a bigger jet and a better jet. But that's about as good as they get, unless you want to buy the massive things. I always think it's the Kingham Swati problem.
Which is what?
Well, Kingham Swati has got an Airbus A340. It's got 4 engines.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's a massive thing. So Kingham Swati, he flies around like a sheik. And so I suppose when you're South African and you're the South African president and you have to park it next to Kingham Swati's plane, there's a little 737 there, you feel a bit inadequate. I always think that's why we call for a bigger jet. It's got nothing to do with the actual jet or the problems. It's just
Bigger is better.
bigger is better. Okay, hi all, Cape Town President correct, says Gloria Owen. Gail Mortensen says, how's it, Tom and Tom's Army? Man, oh man, the Tom London Show is going to rock today with Stan Katz in the house. Chapter 2 uploading. Welcome back, Stan. Always great listening to you, imparting your knowledge and life experiences. Give the man a drum roll or 3. Okay. One more, Daryl. One more. Asseblief, Daryl. Thank you. But Nikki Hart. This heart is on board. Happy Thursday, everybody. Emily Hudson says, hi, dysfunctional army. We'll watch later. We have no electricity again today. Well, you can't be in Sandton because Sandton's got it all the time.
Have power outages
I heard
today.
that. I saw. Yeah, I saw a post where someone said, "Well, how come we've had no load shedding until the G20? Sabotage."
Sounds like this. You would think that if anything, we'd have power and water.
Yeah, but I think it's a bit like a lottery in South Africa. It's like the odds are it's coming into your area soon. What else we got here? The Gripen sounded like a rumbling warplane, says Gail. Our Gripen is probably armed with a broomstick, says Una. Tom is a pilot at heart, it seems. A monster high-speed something has been flying over Centurion every day this week. Serious high-speed, not a toy by any means, says Nikki Hart. No, you don't want to tangle with a Gripen. Stan, Tom grew up in the shadow of Jan Smuts Airport and the fallout of Avgas. Okay, all right, I get it. My father was a pilot in World War II. Yeah, my grandfather was a World War II pilot as well. My other grandfather, he flew.
So the roots run deep.
Yeah, he flew bombers. He dropped a lot of bombs on Italian heads in North Africa. It wasn't quite interesting when my first girlfriend, who was Italian, her family met my grandfather. It turned out my grandfather had stopped bombing just before my ex-girlfriend's father's village. So if he'd gone one day longer, there would have been...
Which girlfriend was that? Was that Claudia?
Yeah. Her dad lived in a place called Piano d'Arta, and that's where my grandfather ended the war, was in Piano d'Arta. Anyway, microlizing along Durban beachfront is super cool. I'd love to do that. Tom and the regular team, says Jeff Owen. My husband was a pilot in South African Army. My son in the cadets, Kent, also flew gliders at 14, 15 years old. They fly the best. The 15-year-olds fly gliders the best.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're the best. The kids.
Why is that?
Well, I don't know. I think they just better fine motor coordination than when you're 53. It's like, that's why you don't have 53-year-old F1 drivers for a reason. No matter what your brain tells you. Hello, Tom and Stan, says Wendy Kutsia. Vanessa Schmidt says Air Force, not Army. David Watts is on board, my old colleague from Radio Days, is talking about stories I remember when Stan used to walk the corridors of Prime Media and we used to press ourselves against the wall thinking, please don't see me, please don't see me, please don't see me.
I hear these stories. I am appalled.
No, he's right.
Embarrassed.
I'm glad he's brought this up. I'm glad. When back in 1997, which is when you, and I say you, Prime Media Broadcasting bought Radio Highveld 94.7, I worked there for...
It was actually 96, I think.
Yes, you bought it in 96. I got there in 97. And so I worked for you as a 27-year-old, 26-year-old or something for 6 months. People used to say, what's it like working for Stan Katz? And I used to say, when Stan walks into the office, the papers rustle.
I'm embarrassed.
Why are you embarrassed, man? You're a legend. You got to have a legendary reputation.
Jeez.
So you had me.
I always thought I was a cool guy.
You were very cool. Very.
I was a cool guy with a take no prisoners attitude.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Your attitude was take no prisoners. Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to tangle with Stan Katz in those days, you were in for a penny, in for a pound. Yeah, pounding, wow. Maybe.
Pounding. Wow.
In for a penny, in for a pounding. Oh man! So I used to be in the production room watching the papers rustle and people start working 3 times as hard. And David Watts would be in the corridor going, "Please don't see me! Please don't see me! Please don't see me!" I remember when I left 947 and came back, and Neil Johnson was in the. I was going to drop off a letter, trying to motivate why you should let me return. And all I wanted to do was get out of the lift, slide the letter under a door, and get out without anyone seeing me. And as the doors opened, Neil Johnson.
What was the letter? The letter was addressed to whom?
Malcolm Freed, probably, the station manager at the time.
Malcolm was running the station at the time. Yeah. I appointed him to that position. So you were motivating why you should be taken back. Why did you leave?
I'd left. I'd gone to do afternoon drive at Radio Bop, and then the station closed down, and I wanted to come back to 947, but nobody wanted me back. So I thought I'll write a letter. And I made this long motivation letter, and then when I was in the lift going up, I thought, please don't let me see anyone. Please, God, not Stan Katz, not Malcolm Freed, not Neil Johnson. That was management in those days. And the doors opened, and Neil Johnson was standing right in front of me. And my heart dropped. And I'll never forget what he said. He looked straight at me. He said, you've either got the biggest balls in Joburg or you're the most stupid asshole in Joburg. I shouldn't have said that, sorry. I'll never forget that day. And I said, I'm not quite sure which one it is.
It's a very good description.
Oh, man. Stan, fancy that, a 6-pack and a flying helicopter. Any other secrets, perhaps, says Margaret Guido. Stan's got a lot of stories. Those thousands of trucks and buckies and things were painted in camouflage and haven't been seen since, says Alistair. Eunice says, as far as I know, only 2 Grippins are working, but there is not enough money to send them up except for events. Only the Roy Falk is in a state to go into combat. Glenda Lauren says, good afternoon, Dysfunctionals. Hope everyone is well. Great to see Stan again. We'll catch up later with the show. Mandy Wilson says, hello, everybody. Stan, you can drop Alistair off with his parachute. He's obsessed with parachuting, Alistair. He wants to jump out of a plane. Have you done that?
He wants to, or he has?
No, he wants to. He wants me to go with him, and we go parachuting together with Annette Jacobs from Pretoria.
Not for me.
No,
not
me
for
neither.
all the money in the world. Not for all the tea in China.
I think we spoke about this last week. Hi, so happy it's Thursday. Love the Tom London show, says Sharon Davis Hannibal. Love you, Sharon. And Margaret Guida says, Stan, what did you do to your staff and why were they shaking in your boots? Shame, you're an Aries, aren't you?
I actually am an Aries.
Oh, yeah, they're all the Pisceans booing the... Can we hear from the Arians, please? Something like that.
The Aries.
Well, it didn't come out the way I wanted it to. Oh, jeez. Okay, so, I want to go back to... I guess where I'd like to start the story with you is when 702 turned from a music station to a talk station. But we'll do that in a minute.
Right.
Because first, a message from our sponsors and actually a message from me too. Hi, Tom London here. And I'd like to put you behind the wheel of a brand new Suzuki Swift. It's packed with creature comforts and safety features, not to mention Suzuki's legendary reliability and fuel efficiency. You can get behind the wheel of a brand new Suzuki Swift sooner than you think. Whether you're buying cash or finance, we'll put the right deal together for you. So how do you get the ball rolling on your brand new Suzuki Swift? It's easy. Just DM or WhatsApp me now and I'll get the process started for you. Buying a new car doesn't have to be a daunting process. Simply DM or WhatsApp me now and let's see if we can get you driving in style with a smile. I'd like to make you part of the Suzuki Kailami family, the home of happy customers.
What is this?
Oh, Stan and I were chatting while the advert was playing. We were having a fat chat. I think it ended. Anyway, welcome to the show. Keep the standards high here. I love Aries, says Uniguida. Strong-minded people, powerful personalities. That's you, Stan. Stan, we would love to hear some stories. I can see you have a lot to tell us. Stan, have you still got a fat stash of Cubans, asks Trevor Kramer. You remember,
That's a
Trevor?
very good question. I love Cubans.
Really?
My ex-wife came into my bedroom one night. I was lying back watching television.
Here we go.
having a Monte Cristo #1.
Yeah.
And she said, I thought I told you not to smoke in the house, and started breaking my cigars.
Oh, no.
So anyway, I won't tell you my response, but it was not... Anyway, but I would continue to smoke if I could keep it down to say one a day.
Yes.
The thing is, the minute I have nicotine in my system starts craving nicotine.
Yeah.
Which is very bad for you.
Yeah, powerful drug that. Sue Caldecott says, love your show, Tom. Thanks for the great people you interview. Many a laugh on your hour-long show. Laughter makes the world go round. We do. We have a lot of laughter. And when Stan and I get together, and also when we do these shows, we have a lot of laughter. I don't know what you're like. Well, I suppose I'm never around you when you're alone. But I can tell you that I'm pretty miserable most of the time. Like moments of laughter, and then I'm like a monk. When I was a kid, I used to look at priests. I didn't grow up in the Catholic Church, but I'd see these...
I'm sure priests used to look at you.
No. You're going to make me choke on my own spit. So I'd look at priests and I used to think, what a terrible life, living your whole life alone, no female company, no love, And the other day I was sitting in my chair here at 11 o'clock at night on my own, and I thought, well, you're doing it. You're doing what the priests do. You are sitting on your lonesome at night in your place. So, and it's not as bad as I thought.
No, I spend a lot of time on my own.
I know you do. Yeah, same.
I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I have a handful of people whose company I really enjoy.
Same here.
And the rest of the time, I'm contemplating, cogitating, ruminating, and all the other eightings.
Let's go back to 702. I know people want to hear these stories. Started as what? The Rainbow of Sound? You were there when it was the Rainbow of Sound. What was the intention? To make a multicultural radio station?
Exactly. I'll tell you how it started. When Izzy Kirsch was putting 702 together, he called a meeting of all the leading media directors in Johannesburg or in South Africa, and asked them one question: what type of radio station should we establish? And the consensus was that it should be a radio station that covers a multicultural, multiracial, that caters to everyone and their sister, Joe and his six-pack.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you that didn't work. Anyway, it was called 702, Channel 702. I don't know why channel. I just thought it sounded sexy. Channel 702, your rainbow of sound, the rainbow of sound being the multicultural, multiracial aspect of the thing. And it didn't work.
Yeah? Because of the AM transmitters?
No, that was part of it. No, it wasn't that at all. It was that there was no commonality amongst the races at that time. You're looking at 1980, the deep, dark days of apartheid. And in order to bridge the gap, there was Jerry Cohen, who was colored, and with his name could bridge two race groups. There was Zubi Mehta, who was Indian. There was Paul Stevens.
Cocky Tubal there at that time?
Cockney Tubal as well. So we had an Indian, a colored, a black, and a white. Now, as I say, there was no commonality. If you were white, you stuck to your race group, et cetera, et cetera. You were black.
Yeah.
And when I came, it had started to fail. I joined in 1980 as a part-time jock, but I knew a lot about radio because I'd just come back from the States where I'd lived and worked for a couple of years.
Fast forward to where you realized you had to change the format.
Okay. So you mentioned it, the AM frequency.
Yeah.
Now, when we were a music station, we were up against Radio 5, which is also AM.
Yes.
And we were kicking their ass. John Burks had more listeners in the morning than they had all day long. And then Springbok Radio closed down, and the SABC handed all of their FM network to Radio 5, which became 5 FM.
Yeah.
Now, here we are, an AM station brought with a music format against an FM station with a music format. It was like sniping at them with a pea shooter. We realized we had to do something. Now, prior to that, everything we did was designed to beat Radio 5. Now, we realized Radio 5 is going to beat us unless we do something. And we couldn't. My decision was we can't be competitive just against one particular SABC station. We need to be competitive within the entire arena.
How do you do that?
The only way to do that is change your format, change your target market. So we changed our format from music to talk. And we changed our target. The target market at that stage was 16 to 34 white. Now, 16 to 34 was the target for most media in South Africa at the time. Magazines were 16 to 34. Everything was 16 to 34 because of the bell curve boomers.
Sure. So what did you target?
We decided to target 25 to 49. And I'll tell you how that happened.
Yeah.
I was raking around for a target market that we could dominate. And it occurred to me that there was this phenomenon coming from the States called the baby boomers. The baby boomers were people born between 1946 and 1964.
Yeah.
And nobody was targeting that market. So we decided we'll be 25 to 49, upper income, and talk instead of music. And there was some.
That's the jet going over you. Did you hear that?
I heard that.
Yeah, that's our lonely griffin flying over Stanton.
You think so?
Yeah, that definitely.
You don't think it's a Boeing?
No. Boeing takes a long time to go past. These ones go, and then they're gone.
Anyway, listen, I'm going to lose my train of thought.
Sorry.
If you keep interrupting.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right. And we, in order to advertise this, I instructed our ad agency, which was Ogilvy Mather at the time, to position us and to do it via outdoor advertising, billboards. I said, buy up every billboard that you can.
Why?
And there weren't as many billboards in those days as there are now. Why? Because the best way to advertise a radio station is billboards and television. Well, television is national, so we ruled that out.
Yeah.
But billboards there were, and they're not that many, and that's why I could give them an instruction: buy up every billboard. As they become available, buy them up. And we ran a kick-ass ad campaign. We had things like mental floss. We had Radio 702 for people over 5. We had 702 daily relief from the dry Highveld. So we were having a go at everyone. We were also going up against newspapers. We said, if you want yesterday's news, get today's newspaper.
That's brilliant. Now, who came up with those? Was that the ad agency?
That was the ad agency based on, I gave them the brief.
Sure.
And they came up with those lines. It won awards all over the world. Yeah. It really was good.
I want to ask you, so there will be people that watch this who have businesses, that their businesses have a name, they have a particular service or a product, but they might not be thinking of it as a brand. So I guess the obvious question is, what is a brand?
Well, that's a good question. A brand is, one of the ways of looking at a brand is a promise kept. So, for example, with a brand, you need driving consistency. And let's take some of the biggest brands in the world. I'll take just two of them.
Yeah.
McDonald's and Coca-Cola. So, because a Coke is always the same, no matter where you drink it or how you drink it, a Coke is always the same. There's that driving consistency. It's that promise that you're going to get the same product every time you drink it. Same with McDonald's. Best way to describe a brand, as far as I'm concerned, is a promise kept.
And what would the promise of 702 have been?
The promise of 702 is 702 cares. Now, Hot is using that line, that positioning now with Hot cares. We said 702 will become the hub of the PWV region.
Yeah.
PWV, Pretoria Witwatersrandvereniging. We said we can't, PWV sounded too much like PW.
PW, yeah.
So we said, let's change the name of the PWV region to 702 land. And then we set out to become the hub of the 702 land community by serving them to the best of our ability in every way possible. If there was a crisis, 702 was there. We even set up a crisis center in Hillbrow, that a walk-in crisis center where people could come for psychological counseling any time of the day or night. So when we would do research, we did a lot of research. We'd ask questions and focus group research. What do you like about 702? First of all, people say, we love 702. What do you love about 702? And unprompted, they would feed back, 702 cares. I mean, you don't, for a brand to have
that's fascinating.
That kind of loyalty, Tom, 702 cares. Take any brand. If you can have that positioning, Suzuki cares, Suzuki Rivonia cares, Suzuki Tailami cares, because they're going for that positioning.
That's their DNA in the, yes.
So what Hot 1027 is doing is they're using the 702 template. And I think unashamedly, they're using the 702 with Hot Cares.
Do you know what fascinates me is if I had to look at radio and go, well, what is it? Is it a product or a service? Well, you've got people sitting behind microphones that are products, like cans on a shelf. But for your consumers to say that the number one thing about your radio station is you care, then you're moving into service territory.
Yeah.
And you're doing it with all these products on the shelf. It's fascinating.
And we become part of not just the lives of people, but we become part of the products and services that they consume.
How important was eyewitness news in the mix?
Very important, because, first of all, one of the things we realized now, we started changing to talk around 87, 88. In fact, 1988. I came off air in 1987 from the Morning Zoo. 1988, we started shifting into talk. And what was your question?
Well, I can't remember.
Okay.
I was looking down and my mind went blank. Give me a second. What was I asking you about? Oh, goodness. We'll have to rely on people's brains in the comments section.
Yes.
We were talking about products and services, product versus service. But I guess I want to...
You know what it really can... You know what it's all about, Tom?
Yeah.
What branding is ultimately all about is culture, the culture of the organization. And the brand is built inside the organization, whether it's a product or a service. The brand is built inside, not in your advertising and all of that. Those are ancillary. Those are the things that heighten what it is you stand for. But culture trumps, is that name again, culture trumps strategy. If you've got a strong culture, you have a strong brand. Now, strong culture, strong brand. So, next question, please. Listen, my memory.
No, don't worry. I'm just looking at Alistair.
These pills to improve my memory.
Yeah.
I keep
forget to take them. Alistair says, what? The geriatric memory course starts in 2 weeks. He's been very nasty. Listen, if you've got a question that you'd like to post to Stan, you could ask him anything, I suppose, but perhaps you've got a business question.
Just don't ask me the capital of Nebraska. Anyway.
What is the capital of Nebraska? Is it Omaha?
Omaha.
It is indeed. You knew it, man. You knew it. So here's a question for you. Your money came in from advertising, people that put adverts on the radio station, and then, they put money in, and hopefully people hear and go to their business and buy the product. What makes successful and this would really apply to anybody who has a business, who's watching, what makes a successful advert?
That's a very good question. What makes a successful advert is a successful client. What makes great advertising is great clients. If you've got a great client who lets you run with it, that's great advertising. That's what 702 had. We gave our ad agency carte blanche. Here's what we want to achieve. My brief to them was, first of all, we want to dominate outdoor. We want to be able to read the headline or the line at a speed of 60 k's an hour. Have a look at the billboards today. I mean, you've got to be traveling at 5 k's an hour if you hope to read the damn thing.
Yeah.
So it was visibility and a very strong positioning.
I guess what I'm trying to ask is, let's say I've got a business and I want to advertise. Forget the medium, just the concept of advertising a product. What goes into a good ad? How do you shift product?
Depends what the product is. I don't think there's one size fits all.
Okay. If I've got a small business and I do wooden decking.
You're talking to someone who's a dyed-in-the-wool radio person. I just think radio meets all the requirements. You're doing decking. The beauty of radio and what people forget about radio is it's theater of the mind. You're painting pictures in people's minds. So every picture that appears in the mind is unique to that particular consumer.
What were your favorite adverts back then? What are the ones you remember? Like the ones I remember are Sembelit. Hi, I'm Brian Easters. I never forget that. Lucy Hirsch's Home Store. Those are the two that stand out for me.
Yeah, because they were so irritating.
And Caliques.
And yet they worked. They were irritating, but they worked. Another ad, another campaign that stands out was Blossom Margarine.
Yeah?
The line was, and I worked on this when I was in advertising. After 702, I went into advertising for a while. I had my own ad agency. I worked on the Blossom Margarine campaign for Gray Phillips at the time. And the line was, everything tastes better with a good taste of Blossom. And we had people eating bricks. We had people eating chainsaws. I even had, what was her name, Miss South Africa, Annalene Kriel eating her crown. And people hated that campaign with a passion.
Really?
We used to get death threats. The creative team used to get death threats because they hated it so much. But what do you think was the most popular brand when it came, the brand leader when it came to where the rubber meets the road was Blossom.
Wow.
Because when you walk into a supermarket today, you need to be sold on the product because there's no one there to give you the pitch.
Sell it to you, yeah.
There's no one in a supermarket who comes up to you and says, hey, they tried this from time to time. They hand out samples. But in a mute marketplace, you need to be sold before you get in there. That's what works.
I think it still applies, yeah.
And if you can dominate a market so much so, you can't be all things to all people.
Sure.
So if you're selling wooden decks, who is your target market? Because you got to talk to them in their terms, in terms that they understand. So you've got to get into the head of your consumer.
I guess you answered my question. I was going to say, you got to get into that person's head. So you can be irritating or impressive or funny or however you want to do it, but you better get into the head. And I suppose frequency's got a lot to do with that. You can't just put one ad on a month. You've got to get it in front of people.
That's key, Tom. Frequency radio is a frequency medium. It works on
and I think online is as well now. Yeah,
online is as well. But back in the day, and look how long radio's been going since 1920.
Yeah.
Every couple of years, someone predicts that a new medium or new platform is going to render radio useless.
I love it when you say this, because you're such a passionate radio man. You're one of the most passionate radio people I've met. But I want you to tell me honestly, do you spend more time listening to radio or watching videos on your phone?
Watching videos on my phone. I'll tell you,
You listen to?
I listen to the radio in the car mostly.
Yeah, I think most people now. Yeah, but it's always been the case. Yeah,
it's always been the case that prime time for radio is 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. After 6, TV and socials take over.
Yeah. You got a question for Stan Katz? Put it in the comment section down below. You want to say hello to Stan, remind him of something, bring up a memory, talk about the past. Or perhaps you've got a question when it comes to marketing, branding, and sales. Stan is one of the best sales coaches I know. We haven't even got there yet. So perhaps you're battling to sell. No, I'm serious. Perhaps you're scared of selling. Then this is a worthwhile conversation. Good opportunity for you to pop some questions in. Let's see what you got to say in the comment section. Tom, don't even try act like you're a priest. You're not that innocent, I'm sure. No, I'd make a very bad priest. I'd make a very good
a very bad priest. What?
No, I was going to go one step further and go, I'd make a very good bad priest. Those Catholic priests are doing mighty fine all on their own, most of them. Only problem is they're not good for the eyes sometimes, says Margaret Guyder. Gail Mortensen says, Cocky Tuba was cool. I remember him too. Natasha Morrissey says, hi, how are you? Good in yourself, Natasha. What else we got here? Lillian Krayling is saying hello. Dawn Stelfox says, I'm a baby boomer. Impossible generation, you guys. The baby boomers, I think the most impossible, the millennials and the baby boomers, the two most impossible generations in modern history.
No, baby boomers were fantastic.
No, impossible.
Generation.
Impossible.
Fantastic cohorts to advertise to, because...
No, I get that.
Today, I mean, the Gen Z and millennials, gee whiz, those are difficult.
I get that, but I'm saying, not in terms of market, just in terms of people. Boomers were impossible. Boomers, a crazy generation, came in after the war with technology being thrown at them every year, and you had that hippie era, and you had the age of independence, and boomers just lapped that stuff up. I mean, you're the original millennials, actually. I think the boomers are the original Gen Z.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. Both impossible.
I've never actually thought of it that way.
Yeah, I think so. Because if you look at your parents, they would have been more austere. They would have been more conservative. They would have had a different set of...
Well, okay, you've raised an interesting point, talking about our parents.
Yeah.
I'll take my father, for example. He was born, I think, 1911. 1914, the First World War breaks out. It runs till 1918.
Yeah.
Then comes in 1929, the Great Depression. People were lucky to have food on the table and lucky to have a job. Come 1939, the Second World War breaks out.
Get another one. Yeah, thanks for your troubles.
You're just getting over one catastrophe, and you're hit with another one.
See, your parents were wrecked, and then my parents were baby boomers. They came out all right, but then my generation were raised by baby boomers, so we're wrecked. And then the generation who come after us are the Gen Zs and the millennials. They're okay. I don't know. I think it's just a pattern. Keeps repeating itself. Vanessa Schmidt says, so interesting. Jen Jones too, says Alistair Jameson. Gen X, says Vanessa Schmidt.
Gen X.
Owen M says phenomenal. Oh, sorry. Gail Mortensen says O&M phenomenal ad agency, 5-star ad agency.
Absolutely. I gave them the account without a pitch. I knew the people who worked at Ogilvy, and I knew the work that they were putting out. I called them up and I said, we'd like to appoint you as our agency. And here's something else. I don't want to pay you a commission. I will pay you a set fee. Work out what your extraction is. They said, we need an extraction of 4%. In other words, of all the money that's spent on advertising, we need to extract 4%. I said, done deal. And so
Good deal,
I think we were the first people to appoint an agency based on a fee structure, not on a commission. And it worked very well for both of us.
You did a lot of things for the first time. A lot of things for the first time. Strong integrity in a company is important, I think, says Margaret Guider, bringing up I know you've used the word integrity before in our conversations.
You know, integrity is, what is the word I'm looking for? Without, I've got to get this, integrity, adherence to okay, it'll come back to me. I've got so much
Was
stuff
it you
flying
that told
through
me
my
it's when what you say, think, and do?
Yeah, it's all integrated. That is integrity. And integrity is doing the right thing, even when nobody's looking.
That's what you tell me. That's right.
Yeah.
You've said that to me before.
Doing the right thing when nobody's looking.
Mandy Wilson's got a long message. Let me read it. Tom, Stan, I'd really like your take on something. I'm from the same era of radio as Tom, and I genuinely miss the old days of talk radio, the 702 era, the real crafted talk shows that were absolute magic back then. I was a huge fan. These days, I hardly listen to the radio at all, maybe 3 times a year, if that, because I can't relate to it anymore. As broadcasters, from a time when you had to think for yourself, create your own marketing, actually build a show from scratch, what's your honest view of today's radio? Because from my perspective, so much of it feels lazy. A lot of young DJs and even reporters seem to rely heavily on AI or cookie-cutter content rather than actual broadcasting skill. And journalists, well, some of what I read in local papers or online makes me shake my head. It's hard to believe what gets published these days. So, do you think it's an age thing, or is it genuinely a lack of effort and craft in the modern industry? Why does today's radio feel so disconnected when the radio of your era was so alive, thoughtful, and honestly just better?
I can answer that. Going back to the early days of radio, I had one, and I don't think it's original, one admonition is an hour of preparation for every hour you're on air. When I was on air, I would spend more than an hour of prep for every hour on air. I would spend a day because I'd constantly be thinking of things, writing things down as they came to me. I would sit down for a few hours, and a lot of my show was scripted. I think my skill, if you can call it that, was making it sound ad-libbed. My best ad-libs, I think Mark Twain said his best ad-libs took 3 weeks to prepare. You know, but people aren't prepping anymore, and they've got lazy because you've got the internet, and so much of what you hear. Also, and then you have teams of people in the studio entertaining each other, entertaining themselves, not entertaining the one listener. This is something else people forget. When you're broadcasting, you're talking to one person. Because people don't listen to radio in an auditorium. They're listening on their own. You listen to the radio on your own. The good old days when you'd gather around and listen to your favorite series or favorite serial, it was called in those days. But
I would point to 2 things.
Work. It's not a 3-hour job.
No, I would point to 2 things. I'd go preparation, absolutely, especially on music radio. And you would think you could prep less on music radio than talk, but I think you need to prep just as much, maybe more, on music radio. And I remember back in the 90s working on commercial music radio. Let's say you had 5 breaks in the hour where you got a chance to talk. And maybe you were talking for 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. You would sit before that show and know you've got 15 links across the 3 hours, and you would work out what those 15 links are going to be to the second. So when you walk into the studio, you already know what your second last link of the day is going to be. And I don't think that happens much, if at all, anymore. I mean, I remember running radio stations, and I would watch my music radio DJs walk in, no show notes, no prep, and just wait for the next link and think of something to say when you switch the mic button on. And I think that's what, was it Mandy? I think that's what Mandy's picking up on. And then I think the other thing is, there was a wonderful culture in radio where you would learn from someone who had spent many more years in the business than you. It was
paying your dues.
Yeah, you would pay your dues, and you would be effectively, even if there wasn't an official mentorship program, there's no ways you could survive without people mentoring you along the way. And you can hear in some of the current, I don't want to be unfair, because there's some that I really think are great on radio, the younger gen. I think there are a couple of stellar younger broadcasters out there. But you can hear with a lot of young broadcasters that they've missed out on something. That mentorship didn't happen, because you can just hear something they do, and you know, oh, well, if they had a grand master teaching them, they would never have done that. They would have stopped that habit.
Not only that, but air checking. I don't think there's much, if any, air checking. Just explain what air checking is. When after a show, the program manager sits down with the presenter and goes through the show and says,
damn right,
could have done this.
Yeah.
Why did you do that? You're talking too much there, etc. So each show you learned you learned something from each show that you did.
Constant improvement and incremental improvement, which,
Today, you don't have program managers doing that. I was very lucky. I had mentors throughout my career.
Me too.
One of them was Paul Ward, which I think you know Paul. Yeah. The late Paul Ward. Yeah. I learned so much from him. He was one of the top program managers in America.
World. That's right.
In the world.
Let's go to the comments. Stan, we're running out of time. Let's see what we got here. Sharon says, Tom, you and Stan should start a radio station. I'd listen all day. They're terrible things to start and even more horrible things to fix. Your advertising PR message has to be top, sharp, punchy, to the point to entice your target audience, says Gail. Good perception is so important in business as well, I think, and strong consistency, says Margaret. Alan Davidov says, remember our Bimbos campaign, Stan? Was highly successful and a lot of fun.
What does Alan say?
Do you remember the Bimbos campaign?
Oh, absolutely. I worked on that personally.
Is Alan related to Laurie?
Yeah, they're brothers.
Oh, wow. So I met Laurie when I first started working in radio.
Really?
Yes. Came and did an interview at Canny FM, and then every Friday, Sweets from Heaven would send me a sweets hamper. I love the Davidoffs.
Tell you the strategy, the advertising strategy that we did for Bimbos was I went to them and I said, what is your most popular category? I didn't go and say, what isn't moving, and let's try and shift that. So what is your biggest mover? Yeah. And that's where we built the advertising. The strategy was get people in the store. Once they're in the store, you can sell them.
Sell to them, yeah.
Sell to them. But the most important thing in retail, Tom, is feet through the door. Get them in the store.
That's right.
And you can sell to them.
That's right. Sharon brings up the Pineapple Insurance advert as an example. Mandy says, these two shows with Stan have been such an amazing insight to radio for those of us with little or no knowledge. We remember all the stories of back then. It's so special to learn behind the scenes. Margaret says, Stan, please may I ask your opinion regards the selling of motor vehicles? What as a client would be the best approach for you? That's interesting, seeing as I'm starting to sell cars. Yeah.
The biggest thing you want to achieve is get them to do a test drive, get them to take a test drive. I think the closing ratio is something like 5 out of 10.
I agree. I think that is a closer, except I've got one caveat that today you've got a lot of people that go, okay, I want a Suzuki Swift. Then they go onto Suzuki's website, they check the different model variants out, what the price is going to be. Then they go watch a couple of reviews on it on YouTube. They go deep into the specs. So you do have customers that will come to you. They already know how many kilowatts the engine produces, and they don't even need to drive the car. They just know that they want one.
Good point.
I think that's what online has introduced to the psyche, but it's not a one, as you said earlier, it's not a one size fits all.
I think the closer is if you can get them to actually
get in the car, and feel like it's yours. I agree with you.
Yeah,
I won't disagree.
The one ad we're talking about is, I think it's GWM, a 24-hour test drive in Boksburg or Alberton.
She was.
God, what a awful ad. What an awful ad. It's so bad.
That's when you go to the dealership and take the car for 24 hours and ask them what their problem is when you bring it back tomorrow. Don't attack us millennials, says Una. No, man, us old millennials on the border of Gen X are all good. Gen Z is crazy. Alistair remembers getting into his car on an evening, driving to the coastal park and returning to Capital 604. Hello, Tom and Stan, says Pat Sunkel. I agree with your take on radio stations at the moment, Mandy. I just can't get into it much myself, says Margaret. Love that WKRP vibe. I think a lot of people, were influenced by WKR. There's a certain age group influenced by WKRP in Cincinnati. I know I was. 702.
I became very friendly with Steve Marshall, who was the story consultant for WKRP. I met him at a conference in Toronto, funnily enough. Paul Ward introduced me to him. We landed up bringing the WKRP cast to South Africa.
Yeah. I remember. 702 gave off that vibe. 702 gave off that WKRP vibe.
Yeah.
Eunice says, Tom, taking people on a test drive with his road rage with Tom, that won't end well. That's why I won't do it. Eunice says, I shouldn't take people on test drives with my road rage problem. So, no, I let other people do the driving. Listen, we've spoken for an hour. We didn't even touch on sales, and I think sales actually deserves its own hour. So, do you want to do this again?
I'm always up for it.
Same time next week?
Why not?
All right, it's a date.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
No, I think people enjoy these chats, and I see by the comments people are loving listening to you, which is good.
That's good. I'm touched. Thank you.
So, I've got a million questions in my head. A million questions. But I guess this is my parting shot. Who is your favorite presenter?
Mine.
Back in the day, yeah.
Mostly John Burks, but not all the time. he was out of control a lot of the time, but the most talented radio presenter this country has ever known.
Yeah, I agree. The king of radio. Yeah,
King of radio.
Listen, if you want to learn more from Stan the Man, then make sure you tuned in next Thursday at 3:00. I really want to dig into Stan's brain when it comes to selling. Stan is a genius when it comes to selling. You know, how to talk to people, how to sell. So maybe we chat about that next week, and we'll do these little lessons with Stan Katz, and we'll tell stories, and
we should bring it out as a series.
Together. Yeah, we will. We'll find a way.
Mm-hmm.
Eunice says, and Tom has a date. She's full of chirps today. She had budgie seed for breakfast. She's got a lot of wisecracks today. 21 people have pressed the like button so far. More have pressed the heart button. Nobody laughed. Nobody cried. Seems we did a decent job. Didn't make anyone cry. Right. That's a good thing. Got likes and hearts. Is
that the criteria?
I don't care. As long as you press a button, you can press the angry button. That's fine by me. Then you're a friend of ours. If you don't press buttons, then you're just an acquaintance. But if you press the button, hey, Kimosapi, blood brothers. Yeah. All right, Stan, what are your plans for the weekend?
Mine?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to stay in bed the whole weekend. I'm in one of those areas.
Yeah, you can't get out.
There's going to be huge traffic disruption. right past my front door. Grayston Drive, Daisy Street.
Yeah, enjoy being indoors.
Rivonia Road. So I think I'm going to be stuck indoors, actually. And you?
Oh, I'm not stuck indoors. I just choose to be a hermit. So I will be I will be perfecting hermiting this weekend. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I won't move out of a 10 square meter radius. I won't. You'll find me. If you want to find me, I'll be at home. My favorite place on earth. Thank you, Stan Katz. Thursday is now Stan Day, says Mandy Wilson. Looking forward to next week. People are already excited about next Thursday. Gail says, awesomeness. Chapter 3 with Stan Katz next week on the Tom London Show. Can't wait. I'd love to hear Stan's take on sales in general. See you next Thursday, Stan. And by the way, you can get hold of Stan by following him on Facebook. Stan Katz on Facebook. Look out for him and make friends with Stan Katz and follow him there. You're still active, you still consult, you still advise. So if you're a business person watching the show and you need the services of a genius like Stan Katz, then you just get hold of him on Messenger and Facebook. Thank you, Thomas Dan, says Carol Hall, stuck indoors. Think how people on Cape Auguste feel in Simonstown. I'd love to hear, many people saying they want to hear you next week. All right, have a lacquer weekend. Catch you soon. The one and only Stan Katz, ladies and gentlemen. I will be back with you on Tuesday next. What was that for? I'll be back with you on Tuesday.
Daryl's out of control.
Daryl's been drinking. He's day drinking. He got into the homemade brandy in the cupboard. Sure, batung. All right, I'll be back with you on Tuesday. We'll have someone to chat to, and we'll keep on talking. Thank you for joining the Tom London Show today. Thank you for pressing the like, the heart button. If you laughed, press the ha-ha button. If we made you cry, press the sad button. If you got angry with us, press the angry button. But press a button, or you have wasted your time on Earth. I'm being serious. Bill Clinton told me that. Okay, Gaynor says, hi everybody, I just made it. Goodbye from Tom and Stan. See you next Tuesday, and Stan will be back with you next Thursday. The Tom London Show is brought to you by Suzuki Rivonia, the home of happy customers.